the deal with noses is that a lot of times what you're dealing, you're looking at a nose kind of from, especially for the front, you're dealing with foreshortening. And so drawing a nose from the side is usually not so bad because, it's variations on I think of noses as just kind of variations on a triangle. Of course you have your upturned nose and your, hooked nose and all that kind of stuff. But I think of the way I approach noses is I really think of it in three parts. And I also think about it in terms of like, just all of it's always based off of just what I would call a doorstop. And what's cool about this is that this concept also applies really well to feet. So if you struggle with drawing feet, if you can get this doorstop concept, then like you're golden, all right? So with slightly different proportions. So with the foot, this would be more of a foot proportion type thing. So if you just take this doorstop idea of a nose, and I'm going to do front and side. Can't really do back with a nose, but you know what? I'll do front, side, and 3/4 because you'll see kind of how. So I'm going to start super simple with, this is a nose from the front. And yes, that looks awful. This is the nose from side. And yes, that looks awful. And then this is kind of the 3/4 view, which will also look awful. I guarantee you that. But I think of the nostrils as like these two little beans sitting on either side of the nose. Now I'm going to add another layer here, and I think I'll enlarge this. So I can draw a little bit more clearly on this one. I'm not sure what I cropped there, but that's okay. And I'm going to fade this out so that you can kind of see a little bit what up. Okay. All right. I'll start with the side. Now, all I got to do is decide how I want to like make, there's something called an aquiline nose, and I find if I just do this sort of little suggestion of the nostril, depending on it, and I thicken up down here and then go like this, and I can do some other variations of it and then go up. But I'm thinking of the flap of the nostril as this like, and I'm kind of like circling around it, okay? And I'm going to circle around in here a little bit too. And I don't know why, I think I mentioned this maybe on my skull drawing, but if you just do that, like, and then erase it, it works. And it'll make your noses look more 3D. So now that I've kind of done that, and I'm just adding I'm thinking about the light hitting from the top. And again, you're talking about, I love doing this pattern of light, shadow, light, a little bit of a crosshatch happening in here. A little bit of a thicker line, and sometimes I find it's better with noses to just do a thicker line rather than trying to do a shadow under there. And then I'm just going to suggest the lip there on that. Okay. I'm going to hide the layer beneath it so you can see what I've done. And now I'm going to erase it just a little bit. And somehow I find that that's just, and I learned this from trick from an art instructor. Another thing that after I graduated from college, took some classes, this great, like almost free classes. other thing I'm doing is I'm refining around the edge of the nose. I'm making it a little bit less. I kind of want to have it be a little bit outlined, but not too much. And I'm also softening up some of that, the underneath there, and just cleaning it up. Unless you want there to be a booger, you can make it so there's a booger. My childhood was populated with many drawings of my little sister with, horns and boogers and, warts, all kinds of things, it's amazing that she's still talking to me, considering. But she did try to kill me on more than one occasion, so there's that too. That's something to think about. Actually, what's funny is I'm trying to get her husband to fly her over to the airplane hangar so that she can visit. So I can draw her nose. That'll be good. Actually, when I'm making fun of my sister, she had this ability to like flare her nostrils like really huge. Like they turn into like big circles. Okay, so there's that. I think my cross hatching's a little bit overdone on the nostril. But I'm just gonna, the funny thing is I'm gonna overcompensate by putting more cross hatching. Also, noses tend to be shiny. They tend to catch a lot of light in there. But if you think about it as like 3 structures, you're good. Okay, so cool. Oh my God, you guys are all like paying attention. That's freaking me out. So let's see, let me go back into the, what are you doing?
I really like your drawing program.
Oh, thanks. And it's just Adobe Sketch, and it's free. You can, if you get the Adobe program with all the bells and whistles, unfortunately they're discontinuing it. They're using Adobe Fresco, but Fresco has a lot of bells and whistles, and I actually love how simple this program is. This program was like let's just get it out there because, oh my God, we're not ready, Okay, from the front, so let's do this here. Now from the front, you're gonna have like, it's really, I know I did this as a triangle, you guys, but you really kind of have, if you want to add another layer of complexity to the nose, what you can do is like, it's sort of like there's going to be an additional plane that goes out, and then you have your nostril thingies. Yes, that looks terrible, but it gets the idea across, and I'm going to go through and do that a little bit. So it's kind of like from the side, you're getting that. I think you guys can, does that make sense to you guys? That like, so that you kind of get the side of the nose?
Kind of looks like
a
Yeah.
Okay.
It works.
Okay. Because I know it looks really weird the way it is. And I'll just kind of, just so that my drawings will kind of line up. It feels like I've got not enough. What is it? Come on. Okay, so that's good. And then, all right. I'm just making sure everything's lining up like I want. So you have these little side planes, right? Now, this nose has a fairly wide ridge. I'm thinking but it's still going to work. I'm going to make this a more rounded nose. Now, from the front, this part is important. It's just like, it's almost like a Cupid's bow type thing happening. And again, think of those nostrils on the side as like this beam thing that you're adding onto. And I'm going to, adjust that original drawing. I'm also going to be looking for patterns of light, shadow, light. And you know, this is that same thing with the eyelid that I pointed out that we again saw with the lips. That's also happening with the nostril, assuming my light is there. It always cracks me up when I have like kind of a nice drawing and then I show my light source as that like totally crappy sun, you know. Now I'm gonna pop to make the ball of the nose pop forward more. I'm darkening that up a little bit. And I'm using a fairly strong line underneath there. Now, some people, we've all seen them. They're usually the popular, Val would appreciate this. They're the girls in your math class who are with their selfies and stuff who are all like popular and shit. They're usually, they have these nostrils you can see right into. You know what I mean? They're just terrible, those girls. There's that to think about. There we go. Okay, cool. I'm just making sure my, right now, wow. Yeah, kind of like, it kind of comes together. And then here you go. I'm just gonna, on the left-hand side, because that's my more shadow side, I'm just gonna darken it a little bit. And then try to think here. That's helping it. I might lighten it a little bit on the right-hand side too, but not too much. See, a lot of times too, and I am guilty of this, like totally, where I'll like go overboard with like, sometimes less is more with it. But I do want that nostril to catch it. I'm also gonna erase a little bit of that guideline or that kind of ball thing, trick thing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even, yeah, isn't it amazing though? It's like, and I don't know why you have to have it and then erase it. Like maybe, and you guys might be like, you know what, hey, I found I got away with it, I didn't need it, or, you know, I did something, or I had that idea, blah, blah, blah. But that's kind of that from the front. So I feel like a celeb now. Now let's see, and I'm gonna go a little bit darker under there. And we got, but this is important to see how you're getting just that pattern of light and shadow. And a little bit of light happening again underneath the nose. So there's that. Let me pull up that. And then the underdrawing, you can see now 3/4 view is cool because, and this is the part that usually gets people a little bit freaked out because you can see part of the nostril on the opposite side, you know, on the far side. And so there's kind of like and a lot of times what will happen is it'll wind up looking like a booger or something. And then there's always a danger with noses is having things look like boogers. You know, of course, if you're me, I'm always feeling like, you know, you driving down the highway, you think nobody's looking at you, you pick it, and there's somebody, you're like, okay, never mind, that's just me. All right. So yeah, you feel me there. All right. So I'm gonna kind of do this as a little bit of a cross between, and even if you want to just have like the barest suggestion. So once again, I'm doing my little clown nose, and I'm gonna refine that little booger thing. And then, but I'm still kind of thinking in terms of that like Cupid bow element. I might need to fix this a little bit in a minute. Because I think, yeah. But so, you know, kind of coming back to that front nose with the Cupid bow. And I didn't really to be honest, I didn't really do the same nose consistently. I kind of wanted to show you guys a little bit of variation in noses, which maybe that would be like a separate thing. One thing that's important though is make sure that this line that is like, but that's stronger. It doesn't have to be like crazy strong, but it should be stronger than the nostril that it's in front of, kind of thing. And then here I'm just kind of just doing a general shading kind of thing. And you also want to be thinking in terms of like, and I noticed this was a little bit of a problem in some of Diane's things. I didn't really want to point it out because it was like, come on, you know, you did an amazing job. But finding like the relationship of this nostril is like they're kind of like parking, they're like cars in parking spots. They're like, you know, they're lining up, even though they're, you know, like imagine you're in the parking garage and they're I think you get the idea. So there's a relationship. You want to make sure that they're kind of lined up, even if you're looking at it on kind of an angle. Okay, so here I'm going to kind of pop underneath a little bit. And then I'm also thinking a little bit about the depth of the nose. I'm going to make the bridge a little bit less wide too. Kind of refine that. Actually, I think that was kind of part of the problem with that friend of mine is like, he had such fine, delicate features. Like he really needed to have like a big nose and a black eye or something like that. Like, you know, dude's too pretty. Let me see how this goes underneath. There we go. And then I've got like hair growing out of the bottom of this one. So let me as entertaining as that is, I'm like, maybe not today, kind of thing. And I'm going to also do that pattern a little bit more of light, shadow light. And I'm going to refine this a little bit. You know, bring that down. And a lot of times too, like how I would do this, whether it's in Conte or paint or you know, pencil or digital, like I kind of work the same way. Like I find that it's just easier to do a little bit. Now, sometimes you don't want to define this too much though, if you want a more natural effect. I mean, I think it's kind of funny because so much of the things that I share with you guys that I find inspiring are usually like kind of cartoon stuff and kind of, you know, not, although I am going to share, I'm going to look for a video about John Singer Sargent, who's just like one of the great portrait artists of all time. And then we can all cry. So there's that too. Also, a thing that kind of happened.
So, hey, Melissa, can I share something with you?
Yeah.
So there's an artist in town here. His name is Dan Gerhartz. He is not a student of, but he has studied Sargent. And he has a big studio and he creates amazing paintings, a couple of which we've seen in Sedona, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Or, not Sedona, Scottsdale, Arizona. And he texted, we're friends. He and his wife and my husband and I were friends. And he texted me one day and said, Sharon, I had a cancellation and I need a model tonight. Is there any chance that your daughter could come and model for us? And I said, sure. Let me check with her, you know. So I checked. My daughter went, and I said to him, I said, I hope you don't mind, but I would like to come and chaperone. And he said, no, sure, fine. So I went to this amazing studio, and he had, I don't know, 8 students, or 8, they're not students, they're 8, I don't even know what they call them. So he holds these studio sessions for 2.5 hours. And they pay a minimal amount of money, and he's got all the lighting and everything set up, and he brings in a model, and they paint or draw or whatever they do. And he created a painting of my daughter
Mm.
that is, oh my God, amazing. And at one point, I'm going to approach him and say, how much would it cost to buy that painting?
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking in the thousands of dollars. But
Wow.
it's beautiful. And so next time, I'm going to show you a photograph of the painting
Yeah,
in a
please,
studio.
please do. I would love to see that. And I'd also love to see like a picture of your daughter so that we could see the resemblance and what he's doing, you know, right with it kind of thing as well. Like,
Oh, sure. I can show you photographs of each of the artists' work as well. And of course, you know, when they set her up, each of the artists has a different perspective.
mhm.
And so it's fascinating for me anyway. So if you like, I'll share those photographs with you.
Oh, thank you. That would be wonderful because that would be really a nice thing to, yeah. And that's a rare thing that you can find somebody who's, it sounds like a really high level that you can have that kind of access to. So yeah, that would be great. You know, and I think I'll creeper stalk his website too. Um,
Wait.
um, so I think what I'll do is I'll kind of wrap this up a little bit, but that's sort of a lesson in, you know, how to, let's see this go from these very basic shapes. To be honest, I'm not that happy with my 3/4. I think I'm going to work on that. I think I'll do another demo at some point that'll kind of, but that's the idea. And I think what happened that made my 3/4 be off a little bit is this line. I think this somehow, for some reason, now I'm like, now I found, you know, let me take the opacity up again, or I'll do it with a different color. But I think if I gotten this part a little bit straighter, I think it would look a little bit better than it does. But proud of the front and the side. It's funny, I absolutely adore doing 3/4. So like, well, you know, but that's just
I think this has been really, really helpful, Melissa.
cool. I hope so. Yeah, I hope so, because it's, yeah. And it's not that
Can you do the same thing with lips? How about
with lips. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I would love that because the funny thing is like, I would say my lips are okay, but they always have room for improvement. But this will force me to observe things a little bit more carefully because I think there's more to be done with that. Yeah. So well, that just sort of shows with and without, and voila. So cool. And so we'll do. Any questions on that before we wrap up, or anything that kind of? No, you're good. Cool. All right. Yee. So
Good.
It's been a fun class.